praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is a tweet that I saw this morning, and so I ended up looking around and I saw another article, and I just want to read the tweet real quick, just to highlight a point in here. As you can see, it says from Alessio. It says shrinking paychecks and rising costs of inflation are sparking social unrest and strikes. All right. Shrinking paychecks and rising costs of living are sparking social unrest and strikes. Now, this is the article here. This is published July 5th. It says UK urged to brace for economic storm. And if you've noticed, it's like all of a sudden this just came, and the beginning of the year, it wasn't really heavily pushed out, and now all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, the economy is like going, because they're at the point where they're ready to let it go. And as a matter of fact, they already let it go. It's on its way down. Okay. Now it says here, the Bank of England has issued a bleak economic outlook amid spiraling inflation. The Bank of England, or BOE, warned on Tuesday that the economic prospects for Britain have deteriorated since the start of the year, calling on the country's lenders to set aside more capital to absorb shocks in the markets. The economic outlook for the UK and globally has deteriorated materially, the BOE said in its financial stability report. Prices of essential goods such as food and energy have risen sharply in the UK and globally, and the outlook for growth has worsened. All right, so they're pretty much, now coming out, giving you that raw news as it is. That look, price of essential goods, and this is something I want you to keep in mind, because these are certain key words and events that'll help you pinpoint, prophecy. All right, or what's going on, where is this written, what scriptures apply to this, because the scriptures, the prophecies apply to the real world. What you see happening in the real world is written of somewhere in the scriptures. All right. And you can get more information once you're able to link up. Okay, well, these things that I'm seeing happening are spoken about in this precept. What else does this precept say? Because this precept will then tell you what's going to happen as a result of these things. So that way, when you look at the real world, you can look and see, okay, well, these things that are happening are going to lead to yada, yada, yada. Once again, it's like if you got a visit, right, from the future you, and the future you comes here and tells you, yo, the way it's looking, man, Biden is not gonna make. He's gonna get real sick. He's gonna get sick with shit. I don't even know, monkeypox or something. And after a while he ain't gonna make it, and then Kamala gonna step in, but then she ain't gonna really do much. Yada yada. Cool. So your future you comes and tells you that, right? And then they leave. They go back. When you are going to continue living in the present, but now you have information of the future. Now, once you see Biden fall sick, right? Or maybe there may be a outbreak of the monkeypox, and you may remember what your future you told you. So now you're going to be on the lookout to see, okay, he said Biden's going to get it and fall sick. The MP is going around. Let me see what happens. And then you hear on the news maybe a couple weeks later that, oh, President Biden is sick with MP. Then what are you going to say in your mind? Let me refer back to what the future me told me and see what's going to happen. Based on what he told me, one part of it has come to pass. So now I know that not only is Biden going to be sick, but he ain't going to make it. This is just an example, by the way. But he ain't going to make it, and Kamala's going to come in. So now in real life, that's what you're expecting to see. Because based on the information you received and you linking up what's happening in your time based on what you were told, you can see what's going to happen next. So it's the same thing when we in this time with with the articles and the things that are going on in the world, they're written of in the scriptures. The Bible prophecies are not things that people took a guess on. I guess this is what I feel or I think might happen. No, this is whatever we're living in right now. They saw it. That's why it was visions. They saw visions of the future. Okay, so they didn't make it up. They saw what was happening in the future, and they wrote it down. So guess what? Us living in the future, really, the prophecies are written about us and our time. All right. That's why it's so important to know these prophecies, so you could find and link, what's going on in the world now with what was written, and by being able to link it, you can follow what was written to see what's going to happen next. So it says, so back to the BOE, right? They're warning about prices of essential goods such as food and energy have risen sharply in the UK and globally. Keep that in mind. It says here, it warned, blaming the crisis on the conflict in Ukraine. According to the statement, the higher prices, weaker growth, and tighter financial conditions will make it harder for households and businesses to repay or refinance debt. Given this, we expect households and businesses to become more stretched over coming months. They will also be more vulnerable to further shocks, the central bank elaborated. So what are they telling you? They're telling you hard times are coming. Tribulation is coming. Not only with food, because of the prices going up and the lack of resources out here, but also with just inflation roiling and sending everything up, and your paycheck not being enough to cover all of that. That's hard times. And the thing about it is, your needs, your necessities, they don't stop just because there are hard times. You're always going to be hungry and need food. You're always going to be cold and need warmth, hot and need AC and need shelter and need water. You're always going to need that. But these conditions are making it harder and harder to get that. So what do you think eventually is going to happen? If your original means of getting what you need isn't working, people are going to be looking for what alternative means. So if that means they have to steal, they got to get what they got to get. If that means they have to hurt somebody or possibly kill somebody, they got to get what they got to get. If that means they have to break into somebody's house or break into supermarkets or rob food trucks, they're going to do what they got to do. Because their needs don't stop just because their means to get it stopped. So it says, despite a worsening cost of living crisis, with inflation heading toward double digits, the regulator expressed confidence that banks were resilient to debt vulnerabilities among households and businesses. That's not confidence, because that's not going to fix anything. And it's not about what banks are able to do, and all. It's about what orders they've been given on what to do. This is deliberate. They're just making it look like it's not. It urged them to ramp up their capital buffer to 2%, meaning they will need an additional $13.2 billion of cash. The outlook is subject to considerable uncertainty, and there are a number of downside risks that could adversely affect UK financial stability, the BOE said. So they're telling you it's going to get worse now, but as time goes on, the scale of how bad it's going to get is subject to change because it's uncertain. It says inflation in Britain is expected to climb to 11%, that's double digits, later this year, and the central bank's base interest rate could increase to as high as 3% by the end of 2023, economists warn. So there's the grim outlook for the UK, but as we kept reading, it said it would mention the UK and it would mention globally. Because this isn't going to affect just the UK, but because of how intertwined these world economies are, once one starts to go down, it's only a matter of time before the rest follow suit. All right, before the rest follow suit and bring down that global economy. But as I mentioned, so we there were some key things mentioned in here, right? The prices of foods and essential goods going up, which is in Revelation, the 6th chapter, and the 6th verse. All right, Revelation 6:6 is dealing with inflation, really hyperinflation. So that's also in the scriptures, right? And I heard a voice but it's written in a dark saying. So you got to be able to go into the words and break it down. It says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And the key point in this verse is the word penny. The penny, though it says penny here, it's not the penny we know it as. All right. This, I believe the Greek word there is denarion or denarius. All right, which was equivalent to about a day's wages for a Roman centurion back in the Roman Empire. Okay, so without going too deep into it, in a nutshell, for a measure of wheat, all right, when you look up the measure, it'll give you how much measurement that is. It's not really too much. I think it's about less than 4 cups of wheat for a penny. So for a day's wages, a day's paycheck, if you were to get paid daily, for 1 measure of wheat, you'd have to pay however much that is, probably over $100, likely. Yeah, very likely over $100, right? So what's that going to show you? That's going to show you the prices of things going up, because a measure of wheat should not cost a day's wages. All right, but what can drive the prices of wheat so high that less than 4 cups of it will cost you over your whole day's wages? Inflation, aka or inflation and then hyperinflation. Okay, now this is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 3. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, which we're seeing, all right, I get those breaking news notifications all the time about earthquakes. It says, and uproars of the people in the world. What is going to cause people to uproar in the world? A lot of things. But right now, the hot topic that's causing that, like, what does it say here? Shrinking paychecks and rising cost of living are sparking social unrest and strikes. And this is not just in one country, right? So when we see these things happening, people start, having uproars on different things, all right, but mainly because of the hard times. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So these things that we're seeing happening were spoken by the Lord all the way in the beginning. Why? Because they were set to happen in this time. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is made manifest. So everything has a start and a finish, right? A beginning and an end. And right now we're seeing the end of this kingdom, of this age being made manifest. And the way this place ends is with these signs that we're seeing, which is going to lead to a total collapse and total chaos. This is the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I want to start at I read the first few verses and jump down to the point, which is based on these words that were mentioned in here. 2nd Ezra 15:1, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people. Who are the people of the Lord? The Israelites, okay, the children of Israel. It says, the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So you got people that get mad when we tell them what the prophecies are, but the Lord put that in our mouth. It's not our words. It says, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. That way we could have them for a record. It says, fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. All right, their disbelief, their scorning, their scoffing, all those things. Don't let that bother you, because we're seeing these signs and it's confirmed already with us. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So they already got something that's coming to them. You don't got to worry about them. Now, jumping down, we want to read. All right. Cool. Yeah, the main part I want to read is all right, verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands." So that's division. That's civil wars. That's race wars, class wars, political wars, right? Because a modern day sword is a gun. So when you have that division, that's when you have people of different sides coming against each other. All right. Now it says here another article: Europe forced to pay even higher prices to fill gas storage. Yep. So it's going down. It's going down for real. Verse 16, it says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." Now this, like I said, is not something that was just, oh, I think this might happen based on, no. What Ezra, right, is writing down is what he saw. He said in that time there's going to be sedition among men. There's going to be people speaking, insightfully to rouse people up. You're going to have people invading one another, breaking into their houses, breaking into their homes. This is what he saw, and he's writing it down. All right. "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." So clearly in his vision, he was able to identify people in open rebellion against the authorities. Okay. It says, "And the course of their actions shall stand in their power." He saw people doing whatever they wanted to do. That's why in 2 Ezra 5, it says, "And incontinency shall be multiplied." People are not going to have self-restraint. They're going to do whatever they want to do and whatever they have to do in order to survive. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." Okay, so what could possibly cause that? You can have checkpoints. You can have, during the hour of martial law, they can close and lock down these bridges and roadways and waterways and all of that. Or it just might be too dangerous. Verse 18, "For because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." And you notice it's saying shall, which is future tense. Okay, in this sense, men are going to be afraid, right? A man is going to want to desire, or he's going to desire to go into a city. So all of these things, which are set to take place now, how do we know? Because it's going to tell you why these things are going to happen. People don't just get up and do these things. What's going to make them do these things? "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods." This isn't commonplace. People don't commonly right now. People don't just go and just take guns and just go into people's houses just like that. There are incidents where it happens, but it says this time, because when people use that, they usually go to rob somebody, or and when they rob, what do they go for? Jewelry, money, all of that. But this time, the reason they're going to be doing it, right, is because of the lack of bread, which is food, their lack of access to food, and great tribulation. Well, guess what? When you're saying here that their paychecks are shrinking and the cost of living is rising, which is leading to social unrest, that's great tribulation. Not having enough money to pay for prices that are continuously rising. All right, for prices of food and energy going up, and yet you're not being able to pay for it. That's lack of bread right there. You can't get the food because the prices are so high, and if you find one. So because of that, people are going to seek other means by breaking into other people's houses, looking to get their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this is going to be the reason as to why people are going to be doing the things they're going to be doing. So back to what I said in the beginning of the video, when you see the lack of bread and great tribulation happening, and you can link that up with 2 Ezra 15, you can find out, oh, okay, well, in 2nd Esdras 15, it also talks about lack of bread and hard times. And then it explains what happened as a result, right? Because of the lack of bread, all the things that were listed above were a result of lack of food, great tribulation. Tribulation is just hard times, troubling times. Prices skyrocketing, cost of living going up, that's hard times. The economy about to collapse, that's hard times. You know? So pretty much we're in the time of the fulfillment of these prophecies. And as more and more, and that's why we ought to watch, because as more and more of these events take place, we move further and further in prophecy. Okay? So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachel Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.